Hello, everybody. I'm Drew Duncan. The show's fired up, and we are live. I am brought to you in part by WBFR Block 50 Radio, which is online 24/7, 365 at block50radio.com. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Take a device to play Fired Up by Drew Duncan, iTunes, iHeart. Wherever you're listening, I am there. Plenty to get to today. Obviously, we're going to be talking about NBA from last night. In addition, we are going to be talking about some things going on in the NFL. DeAndre Hopkins has a dispute about his numbers. We're going to be talking about that. Plenty to get to. But as always, is Friday, which means our MMA insider is in the house. He is Austin Ford, known for training with UFC and Bellator guys. Austin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me again today, Brody. Obviously, the big topic of discussion is going to be Mike Tyson and Jake Paul for just about everybody this morning. Look, there is no shortage of people being miffed as to what the hell's going on. In your estimation, why in the absolute hell would Mike Tyson agree to this fight at age 57?
The only thing I can think of is for the payday, the ridiculous payday. I'll bet you he makes more money for this fight than he ever made for any single fight ever in his actual career. But because other than for the money, this is going to be like a WWE pretend exhibition match. Like kind of the same feels as when Mike Tyson's last fight, where it looked like they were kind of sparring. Was it Bernard Hopkins?
Right.
Where they're kind of looking like they're sparring. It's not really serious. Mike Tyson's not trying to kill this man, But I think it's a bad look. I think Jake Paul is going to win because it's not Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. It's Mike Tyson versus Father Time, and Father Time is undefeated.
Well, first of all, wasn't it Roy Jones Jr. that he fought, if I remember right? Because
That's right.
And
right.
Either way,
it was Roy Jones.
Evander Holyfield was mad about it. He thought that the third fight with him is the fight to make. And I'm like, bro, you understand what's going on here, right? Like, nobody, we're not doing this because, this is, bad blood type thing. We're doing this because Mike is, you know what I mean? So that's first and foremost. Secondly, they haven't officially decided on whether or not it's going to be an exhibition or whether it's going to count. That's another thing that's happened. Here's my thing, and this is what I was talking about yesterday, and that is, me and a homie, we were conversing about the state of hip-hop and music, and he was talking about how these kids don't care. And I started thinking about it a little bit deeper, and I started thinking about Larry Bird, right? And he said that he feels the game of basketball is in a good place, but he was telling all the guys that are in the NBA right now, leave the game the way that you found it. And I look at Jake Paul and I look at what's going on with boxing right now, and it's like, okay, leave it the way you found it. But then again, what they found really wasn't what it used to be. So I don't know, man, this individualistic thing that's going on right now. Look, there's all this about whether or not it's good for boxing. But boxing survives no matter what, it seems like. So I don't know what the hell, to be honest with you. I mean, to me, it's like, you ever seen a chihuahua try to hump a pit bull? This is going to be the most awkward fight I think that we've ever witnessed in the history of Everdom. And when they did the promo on Netflix, they just looked so awkward, and Mike was trying to hold back laughter. I just don't know that I could take this seriously, but people in the comments, you know how it is. They want him to knock him the hell out. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Mike has it in him if he wants it, but I don't think he wants to kill that man. He's not, this isn't 1990. You know what I mean? We don't have 1990 Mike Tyson. We have philosophical Mike Tyson.
Philosophical. he's a grandpa. You know what I'm saying? He's a regular guy now. And I watch him hit mitts with Rafael Cordero. And it looks like he's punching hard. It looks like the Mike Tyson of old, but I'm not scared of Mike Tyson right now. But just like I'm not scared of my stepdad. You know, he's not the same guy. Like, my stepdad was the sixth fastest man in the world when he was younger. But he's not that guy anymore. No, I used to be like, oh my gosh, if I saw Mike Tyson, I don't know what I would do. You know, I made a video on my Instagram, and I kind of mocked Mike Tyson. And at the end of the video, I said, "Don't tell Mike I mocked him." You know, it was a joke, but I wouldn't do that if I was scared to run into him later, which I'm not. You know, I respect Mike Tyson. I'd love to meet him, but he can't threaten me. He's an old man, and I'm an old man. But I will take him down and mount him and punch a hole in his head. There's just no. This doesn't make sense in any way of a real fight. It makes sense to get money, and that's what this world is all about. Get money, cash in, cash out. And I get it, but this is not a real fight. It can't be, right? It can't be.
Do you think that Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather and what they did have basically their hand in this, in the way that a lot of people believe that fight was a sham, just so that way those guys could basically retire on that?
No. That was a real fight. And I'm only going off of what I'm looking at, right? And, you know, don't believe everything you read and half of what you see, right? But I'm looking at that fight. They were fighting. And I even had this moment of like, oh my gosh, Conor McGregor is going to win this fight. Because he won the first 3 rounds, in my opinion. And
he did.
It fell off a cliff after that. But, no, that was a real fight. This one, I can't see, like, I can see Jake Paul going out and just being young and kind of fighting like he just fought last weekend. And it's embarrassing for Mike Tyson. That's where my brain goes immediately. But you can't count out Mike Tyson. You know, Mike Tyson will whip my ass, right? There's no way I could beat Mike Tyson. Now, my brain and my heart is like, I think I could. I'm 44. I think I could. I could beat 57-year-old Mike Tyson. But then my realistic brain goes, there's no fucking way. Mike Tyson would whip my behind. Now, at the same time, he can't beat Jake Paul, can he? I just see him getting embarrassed, getting tired. Us at the end of it being disappointed. Not like the old Mike Tyson days where we're all around the TV. We're about to watch the fight. It's over in the first minute, and we're all disappointed. Like, we wanted to see Mike Tyson fight longer. No, this one's going to be a different disappointment. We're going to be like, what did we just watch? Or he knocks Jake Paul out, and the internet implodes. Now, that's what I'm hoping for. I'd love to see Jake Paul get flatlined by Mike Tyson. That would be exciting. And I wouldn't even care if the setup, Jake Paul takes a fall. I wouldn't even be mad at that. Because my world ends when Jake Paul beats Mike Tyson on TV.
Well, my estimation is that if this gets taken seriously, I think you've got about 3 rounds, you know, because the Roy Jones fight, which you just talked about a little bit ago, I mean, right afterwards, Mike is huffing and puffing, and he's like, you know, I'm used to doing it for 3 minutes. I mean, come on, we've all seen that meme on TikTok, right? I'm used to doing it for 3 minutes, and, you know, it was 2 minutes, but it felt like 3 minutes. And, I mean, it was like, okay, this is fun. You know, we got to see Mike Tyson fight. This is cool. But, you know, you look at Jake Paul, he's fought, what, Ben Askren, well past his prime, and it wasn't an MMA fight; it was a boxing match. He fought Nate Diaz well past his prime, and again, not in the cage, but it was a boxing match. He fought a retired boxer in Nate Diaz, or Nate Robinson, pardon me, who he had every advantage you could think of, because it's not even what Nate Robinson does is box. Okay, so now at 27, he's fighting 57-year-old Mike Tyson, and he literally says, well, I want to do this because I want to prove myself against the greatest fighter of all time. Okay, bro, if this was 1990 and you said that, we'd be like, all right, we think he's going to get his ass whipped, but, give the kid a shot. But it's not. Now it's 2024, and I don't know, man. I think that the worst part about all of this is when you look at it and you just see it on the surface level. I really, truly believe that Mike Tyson, everything that he said about boxing and where it's at and all that stuff, and he said that Jake Paul is okay for boxing and all that. It's crazy to me that he would get behind this. And I know we're going to start seeing the De La Hoyas pop up now. This is just going to be a nightmare. And I think what I immediately allude to is Chuck Liddell, when he decided to have the third fight with Tito. All right. And Chuck Liddell could barely move around as it was. Nobody knows why in the hell he agreed to that fight. Tito's running around like, yeah, I finally beat him. It's like, bro, Chuck was 50. And he couldn't really that's not really like a win. So even if Jake Paul wins this fight, to me, it doesn't do anything to advance his career the way that he claims he wants it to.
Well, if you look at this last fight, he beat a tomato can. That I don't even remember the guy's name. But his nickname should be Tomato Can.
Tyrone Woodley?
No, the guy he fought last weekend.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm thinking the same thing. Like this is a black stain on Jake Paul's career. No one's gonna take him serious now. Like this might be the end. I lost all respect for Jake Paul's climb. As long as his opponents continue to get better and better. Like when he lost, I was like, okay, now I'll watch. Right? He lost the fight. Then he took another fight. I'm like, against a bum, and I get it. But after that fight last weekend, I'm like, this is the end of Jake Paul. This is the end. And what does he do 6 days later or 4 days later? He sets up the biggest fight of his YouTube career, Mike Tyson. So I don't know. Like I'm gonna get my piece of the pie and sell something online. You can do anything nowadays. Jake Paul, you've inspired me. Anyone can do this, right? Oh my gosh, let me fight Jake Paul. Like, I think that would be a good fight, right? I'm 44 years old. I'm a coach. I'm 230 right now, but I can make 200 easy. And it's a coach versus Jake Paul. Let me get that fight. I would be a better fight for the fans than Mike Tyson if you're actually looking for a fight.
I don't think you're old enough. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think you meet the age requirements, my man. Yeah, I don't. I think if you were, because at this point, I mean, you can only climb higher. I mean, it's not going to be too long before he fights a grandpa, and I mean a real grandpa. Like some 70-year-old man who he just pulled off of the street. Look, I think the other part of this that, is wide open is Netflix, right? They just got the contract with WWE. Now they've got this fight. They'd lost all those subscribers for the longest time with some of their controversial documentaries, and then they took away the ability to, share your Netflix account with other people and all that stuff. And so a lot of people said, to hell with this, you're too expensive and never have what I want anyways. They are literally forcing people to subscribe now. And it's a hell of a business move because it really works out for everybody. It works out for Mike, works out for Jake, works out for Netflix. I mean, this is going to be either the biggest money make that we've ever seen in Everdom, or this thing is going to fall on its face. And to be honest with you, I would not be surprised if that happened. How do you get interest in this fight, bro? I mean, really think about it. How do you make this thing interesting? You know, Jake Paul, to me, can't get on there and go, he's trying to take food off of my plate, so tonight I'm effing him up. I'm effing him up. You know, like, he can't, we've already seen to do that, right? And then the thing with Mayweather and, you know, Mayweather walking around, I'm going to kill this MF, or I'm going to kill him. And I'm like, bro, stop, man. This is like, just stop the cap with this fake beef and all that. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't even... I don't know, bro. To me, this is no different than what's going on right now with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. It's literally no different to me. It is the exact same BS. But the weird part is, as much as everybody says they're sick of it, they still buy it for the most part.
I'm going to watch.
Well, I have to because it's my job, so...
And I agreed. Same here. I have to watch it. If people ask me, "Hey, did you see the Mike Tyson fight?" and I said no, they would be like, "What?" So you're right. It's our job to watch this fight. But just like we keep talking about the UFC owning the WWE, what are they doing with that? We talk about the new eyes, the pretend eyes, or the eyes that watch pretend fighting in WWE, and they love it. They love it. They defend it. It's a family tradition to watch WWE. I remember when it was WWF and Hulk Hogan, right? And so, yes, there is a fan base that can easily be manipulated into watching this fight. And it's what everyone's talking about right now. It's literally business. It's internet. It's the exponential reach of, hey, did you hear about this Mike Tyson fight? You tell 2 people, they tell 4 people, they tell 8 people. This is the most talked about thing in the world right now. I don't care what sport. Mike Tyson is one of the most recognizable humans on the planet. And Jake Paul, this is a brilliant business move. Brilliant business move for Mike Tyson's relevance, Jake Paul's relevance. But the people that don't like this are real fight fans. We don't respect this. As we're sitting here talking about this, we know that this is a spectacle. This is not a real fight. And I think that one thing could help is if Mike Tyson bites Jake's ear off before the fight. Not in the fight, before the fight at a press conference, or Mike Tyson is such a nice, sweet guy now. He's not a madman. You know, we forgot that he went to prison for sexual assault, right? We forgot that. He got a pass that Bill Cosby hasn't gotten, you know? And here we are. Can Jake Paul bring Mike Tyson out of his new character? And I think if he tries to do that and can do that, now we're on to something, and it becomes a real fight. But I just see Jake Paul playing it like, you know, it's an honor to fight Mike Tyson. It's an honor to fight you, sir. You know, just completely respectful Jake Paul. But that's not going to sell this fight. That's not going to sell it. And it doesn't need much selling. However, if Jake Paul can tell Mike Tyson to his face, I'm going to knock you out. I'm gonna beat the black off of you. Something controversial. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. I need Jake Paul or I need Mike Tyson to get in this. Like, and I hope it happens today. Like, don't just reveal it to us. What are y'all doing today? Is there a press conference today? You sell this to me, Mike. Sell this to me, Jake Paul. Make me believe this is a real fight, because right now I don't believe it.
Nah, man, this is gonna be it Rocky vibes. Remember the movie Rocky Balboa when it came back, and there's still that beast inside me. There's still the beast. And I'm just sitting around and I'm like, Mike, is this what you're doing, bro? Like, I'm just waiting for Mike Tyson's big speech. You knock down, you get back. Oh, that ain't you. You're bigger than that. Go pay your respects to your mother. And the thing is, man, is when I sit here and I try to make sense of any of this. I mean, like, I don't even know if Don King would make this fight, bro. And I mean, and that dude is as shady as it come, and he'll make any fight, anytime, anywhere. He don't give a damn. I don't think he would make this fight. Like, no, I'm not. What? You figure it out. I'm not going to be a part of this. And
no one's gonna believe it.
Nah, man. I'm having a real difficult time with the authenticity of this fight, and that's what you and I talked about. What makes a great fighter who's lippy great? Well, he wins, but he's also being authentic. Ali was being himself. Whether the volume was turned up or not, that's a different thing. But I think that we've come to a place now where, like you said, we've allowed this with the WWE for so long. And don't get me wrong, I was a huge WWF fan back in the day. Stone Cold, The Rock, the NWO, that whole thing, Bret Hart, who I still think, to me, started the Attitude Era. I don't care what anybody says. His pipe bomb, I think, drove that. I just, when I look at this and I think to myself, what are we getting ourselves into? I think Gene Simmons said it best. He talked about music. He's like, you speak with your money. When you go out and you buy a record, when you would buy a CD, when you would buy a cassette tape, you voted with your money. And every time that we vote with our money with something like this, we continue to allow it to happen. And we're doing it for two reasons. Because, number one, people like us grew up barely able to really enjoy a Mike Tyson fight because we were so young, right? We remember him, and then we see the YouTube videos, and then the other aspect is we just want to see Jake Paul fall. That's all there is to it. We want to end this bull, and we're hoping that Mike is the guy to finally do it. But we've hoped it with everybody, and everybody's made promises, but nobody's been able to keep their promise. So,
one guy has.
Well, but here's the thing, though. It didn't end it. So the promise that he made was not good enough, and what he did in that ring was not good enough. He didn't end it. So Mike Tyson, to me, has to really, really catch him clean and put him down for real to make him decide whether or not he wants to continue to do this. Because, if we want to talk about it being embarrassing to boxing, we can go to that level. I'm not necessarily with that. I mean, I've talked to a lot of fight promoters. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. All right, that's fine. Everybody made some money. But what did it do to further the sport? What did it do to help the sport and give it true visibility and put it in the hands of people with good motives? Because if we want the sport to be sustained, then we have to have people that have the right motives. And Mike Tyson himself has said that fighting is a poor man's game. And what does Jake Paul know about being poor? Not a damn thing. Nothing. He was a spoiled kid growing up. He was in Disney for the longest. He had that incident on YouTube that kind of screwed him up for a little bit. But then he started fighting, and at first I was just like, okay, you know what? I was in it because I thought, you know what? He really carries himself like a fighter. He really does. And I thought he's going to be for real. And then all this BS started happening. And I thought, okay, bro. So you fought a few exhibition fights and you decided that you're the creme de la creme now. And you and your brother are on this weird tandem where you're just making all this money. And it's just like the only way to stop it is to not buy it. I mean, that's legitimately it.
Yeah. I wish that Jake Paul would have just kept fighting other YouTubers. You know, like keep fighting randos and be humble. He could have played this like, look, I'm no real boxer. I train hard. I hope to one day be considered a real boxer, right. But I know what I'm doing. I just want to put on these fights for my fans and bring some light back to boxing. Boxing's for everyone, right? But now he's starting to say he's on a quest for a world championship. Like, a national championship. He won't ever be a national champion, right? He won't be a regional champion. The best Golden Gloves cruiserweight right now would destroy Jake Paul. You know, so it's just it is disrespectful to the game to not be respectful to the game. You can be in the game, you can play the game. I'll watch, but stop saying you're on a quest for a world championship. Stop shushing the crowd. Don't let your graphic be you with your finger over your lips saying shush because everyone's doubted me and I've proven myself now. No, you haven't proven anything. You've proven that this is an age of instant gratification and money. And you know what? I've been stuck in this old school mindset of character and authenticity, but that doesn't get you money. If you want to get money, you got to do this new weird stuff. And so, like I said before, I am inspired, Jake Paul. I'm gonna get a piece of this pie. I'm gonna try to get thousands and thousands of people on the internet to join my tribe for a small fee. You know, thousands and thousands times $20 a month. Hey, you don't need a 9-to-5 anymore. You need a shtick. You need a niche. You need eyeballs on you. You don't have to be authentic anymore. And I'll never be inspired to not be authentic, but I am inspired that anything is possible. You know?
Well, and
anything is possible. Who was that?
It's crazy to me because he doesn't seem afraid of Mike at all. And, you know, my thing is people forget Mike is literally my height, 5'8". And I tell people all the time, if that man would have fought in the weight class that he was supposed to be in, I'm 99% sure he would have killed somebody in the ring. And, you know, the weight drop that he's going to have to go through is going to be pretty intense, you know, because Mike, he's been staying in shape and all that. You know, and let's not forget that he said in his actual real last fight where he's just like, look, I'm in a place in my life where I like staying in fairly good shape, but I don't like training like this anymore. You know, and I find it bizarre that somebody who's been a real dog like that doesn't seem to scare Jake Paul. And I think it's for the reasons that we've talked about. He's 57 years old. He hasn't trained for years for a fight. He hasn't fought in years. His timing is going to be off. His rhythm is going to be off. It doesn't matter. I mean, June, you know this as a trainer. June isn't that far away to a trainer right now. We're talking April, May, boom, June, it's here. You have 3 months to drop how much weight off of Mike Tyson. How would you approach it if you were his trainer?
Well, I would hope that we've been in the gym this whole time. And it's perfect timing because he is in shape. his timing is similar to what it used to be. You know, we're on the mitts. He's on the bag. He's living right. He's happy. You know, so I'm hoping we get to start with a running start. But if not, it's like, okay, camp starts today, and it's the biggest money fight of all time, and your pride is on the line. You can't lose to Jake Paul. And Jake Paul, you can't lose to Mike Tyson. You can't lose to 57-year-old Mike Tyson.
Yeah, no, that ends it.
So this is a must-win. Yeah, this is a must-win for both of them. So we're going to have a great camp. We're going to spare no expense. Every day is going to be a great day. This is going to be a great camp. And we actually are, no distractions. We're going to train hard for this fight. And it's not even going to be hard. It's not going to be hard. I'm ready to get up and hold mitts every single day until this fight. I'm inspired. I'm ready. There's big money. If I'm Mike Tyson's trainer, I'm making life-changing money just taking 10% of this purse. I'm making life-changing money. So let's go. Let's get it. It's a win-win for the money. There is no loser in this fight as far as money goes. So if I'm older and I need money, or I want to buy a new house or another house or whatever, I like it. If I'm Mike Tyson's trainer, man, this is the best time of my life. And it's Rafael Cordero. That's who will be training him. And he's an MMA coach. He's not a boxing coach. I mean, Mike Tyson is training Francis Ngannou, who fights this weekend. You know, they're hanging on, or AKA cashing in. This is the best time in Mike Tyson's life. This is the best time in Jake Paul's life. Everyone around them, it's the best time. But it's not the best time for us as real fight fans, because this fight doesn't make any sense. But we're going to watch. We're going to watch.
Well, you know, and if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be the first time that Mike has ever had to cut weight, because when you fight heavyweight, you don't have to make a certain weight, right? You could be whatever the hell you want. When you fight heavyweight, there's no weight limit to what you can be. So at age 57, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about this, this is going to be the first time that Mike Tyson ever cuts weight. I tell you what, there's just so many ins and outs to this when you start really like getting into it and digging deep. I still don't know how well it works, though. Still plenty to get to today. Unfortunately, Austin Ford had to duck out early, but that's all right. He's got fighters that he's training, so he's at his gym today. But obviously we hit on the main thing. Still plenty to get to. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Tyson Fury a little bit later on. Him and Francis, they were jawing back and forth. A couple of odd-looking fights in MMA. The WNBA, the Aces, have sold out for the season coming up for the first time ever. We got that on tap. Plenty to get to today, guys. In the meantime, Gilbert Arenas says that there is one way that we can potentially fix the NBA, and that is to, quote, get rid of the European players. In fact, here he is right here.
Get rid of all the Europeans. What? You just said it. You just said it. You go to college to learn defense. Yeah. What college do Europeans go to? They have no athleticism, right? They have no speed, no jumping ability. They are a liability on defense. There's 150 Euros in the league today. Name the top 10 defenders. Just the Rudy Gobert and Greek the Freak. Other than that, they're just offensive players. They're not defensive players, right? So the NBA took away aggression. They took away aggression to open up the Euro League. When they first started getting here, it was too rough for them.
And they didn't make it.
They didn't make it, right? So eventually, they softened the rules. They didn't soften the rules for the Americans. They softened the rules to open it up international. So when they're saying the Euros is going to run the league in the next 5 years, why do you think that? More threes, passing, cutting. This is not our league. This is not the American style. This is the Euro style.
Well, I've been saying something very similar for a very long time. And here's what I've been saying, is that the Euro invasion has happened. And really, we're talking about Australians. We're talking about, really anywhere, right? Any of the major continents outside of the United States or, North America, any of that. What we are seeing is the NBA adopted the rules for the Olympics. That's what happened. And if you go back and you watch the documentary with LeBron and Carmelo and all that, when they were on that same team as Kobe that, was coached by Coach K, and they were able to get Kobe to sign on. And they did that. They were talking about the difference in rules. And they were like, you could do this in the Olympics and in Euro, but you can't do that in the NBA, right? So they were talking about the difference of rules that were going on and the adjustment that they had to make in order to be able to keep up with the Olympic rules. And so the Olympic rules were more of the Euro rules or rules that were played around other parts of the world. And so with that adaptation, it was really more about the NBA making sure that their guys can continue to compete, because let's not forget that before Kobe was a part of that gold medal championship team, whatever you want to call it, for the Olympics, we weren't doing so hot. We went from the Dream Team days to we couldn't even medal. It was really bad. You could blame the fact that guys didn't want to play. You could blame a lot of different things. There were, a lot of different scenarios that happened with it. But I think the NBA took a look and said, this is about the rules. Our guys cannot adapt to what is going on in the Olympics. And so when they adapted to those rules, it made the NBA a lot more plausible for other athletes that were outside of the states. And those rules are not nearly as constricted. Those rules are not nearly as difficult. Hence the Euro step. Things that you're able to do when you're in the Olympics that you cannot do when you're in the NBA. And to that point, I agree that it has softened the league. And I've said over and over and over again, over the last couple of months especially, that you can't really fault the players for being the way that they are right now, because these are the league rules. This is what they've adapted to. It's got nothing to do with more points being more entertaining. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the Olympics and how they want to be competitive in the Olympics and keep the states relevant in the Olympics. That's what it amounts to. Because you're not going to see Doncic play for the American team. You're not going to see Giannis play for the American team. It's not going to happen because they're not from here. They're going to play in their respective countries. And it's going to be good for the NBA. Why? Because now you're not looking up to Magic Johnson, who's overseas, and you get to see him play once in a while. You're not looking up to MJ, who's overseas. You get to see him play once in a while. You're not looking up to LeBron, who's overseas. You get to see him play once in a while. You are literally looking up to your own guys that are right there in your own backyard that now have access to watch these guys play 24/7. And then on top of that, they're going to be able to see them play for their country in the Olympics and go, that's Giannis, he's in the NBA. That's Jokic, he's in the NBA. He's the NBA MVP. He's been an MVP in the NBA Finals. He's an NBA champion. That's what they're going to see, and that's what they're going to look at. That is the way that it is going to be, and that's the way that it is. It really has nothing to do with purposely opening up the avenue to allow other players from around the world. There's always been players around the world, but he was right. A lot of them couldn't hack it. The Luke Longleys, I'm sure Luke Longley was amazing in Australia. In America, he was a very average center. He didn't have the power or strength of a Shaq. He didn't have the force of any of these guys, because the game that he played was 100% offensive where he was. To that point, I agree with Gilbert Arenas. You think about guys like Petro Stojakovic and all these guys, God rest him, Vlade Divac. The game was so different. There was a lot of adjustment periods that were there. Tony Kukoc having to be a role player, not being able to play the game that he was accustomed to playing the game. It's completely different. I mean, come on, man. You look at the interview with Jokic, and they were like, the crowd bother you and all that. And he goes, man, I'm from Serbia. Then you go and you watch Serbia, and there's flames and fire everywhere. And these people are jumping up and down for the entire basketball game, and they're going crazy. And we'd think college atmospheres or something in the States. Go to a game in Serbia, my man. You will figure out real quick why he's not intimidated by an NBA crowd. You'll find out real fast. There are reasons and there are levels to this. The game became more offensive because of the Olympics, and because of the Olympics, they needed that style. They needed that open ability to, okay, we got to get our guys trained from day one. So what does it do? It's a trickle-down economic effect. It goes all the way down to the AAU, to all the farm systems and farm leagues that they have and everything else. It's, okay, guys, we need to start getting them ready for an Olympic-style competition. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to train them. That's how we're going to teach them to play. So, yeah, that's what it is. It's cut, dribble, kick out, or dunk. I mean, that's legitimately what it is. It's an awkward shot. Dirk Nowitzki had one of the most awkward shots in the history of the NBA, but it worked. It took forever for it to work, but eventually it worked, and it took down LeBron and the Miami Heat, a Miami Heat team that was stacked with D. Wade and Chris Bosh and LeBron James and Ray Allen. It took practically a miracle, but they did it, and they really dominated those last couple of games. And so now you've got Dirk Nowitzki, and it's like, okay, he's got a pipeline to back home. He's got the pipeline of, hey, so-and-so's looking really good. Vlade Divac has the pipeline to back home. Somebody's looking really good. Luka has got the pipeline to back home. Do you understand? It's all pipeline. And it's all intertwined now. It's not the same anymore. It's not where you have a separate league basically with the NBA aside from everything. That's why the NBA, you get to say that you are literally world champions. Who is literally the best player in the world? LeBron James, whether people want to like him making that claim or not, if he wants to say the words out loud in the world, he can legitimately say that. Why? Because you have so many European players in the NBA now. You have so many players that are from other places. That kid we just talked about, Coman, that is coming from Africa. You have so many players that are coming from all over now, and they're not having to adjust to the NBA. It's not risk-reward anymore. It's not. They don't have to adjust to the NBA anymore because the rules are basically the same all over the world now. Sure, there's some differences, but they're not major. They're minor. They're easy to adjust to. You think about the picks and the screens and stuff that you used to be able to set in the NBA. You can't really do that stuff anymore. There's no more Greg Ostertag standing there like a brick and somebody running right into him and falling 3 feet the other direction. It's a foul now in the NBA. You don't get to set real screens anymore. It's the way that it is, and they made the league that way so that way they could compete in the Olympics. It has very little to do with the European invasion. And I don't think it's going to be a EuroLeague in 5 years. I don't. I think, like I said the other day, you're going to see Kevin Durant-type players. Now, they may come from other places, but that's what you're going to see. Everybody's going to look like Kevin Durant. 6'9", 7 foot, 7'1", 7'2", incredible wingspan, amazingly athletic, incredibly athletic, as a matter of fact. Very agile, quick, heady, smooth, yet they can be powerful if they need to. That's what you're going to see. You are going to see Kevin Durant-like players. We've seen it with Wemby. We're seeing it with this kid Coman. We're seeing it more and more now. That's what it's going to go to. I really don't think it's going to be a Euro League in 5 years. It's not. Everybody's going to look like Kevin Durant. That's what they're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for that wingspan and that similar style. That's what we're going to have. Whether or not any of this is good for the game of basketball, who the hell really knows? Time is going to tell. But to me, it's really more about the Olympics than it is anything else. In the meantime, the WNBA sells out, the Aces, I should say anyways, and a lot of people are saying, well, this is an embarrassment. The league's been around since 97, 98. How come they can't, blah, blah, blah. First of all, let's not forget that the NBA itself was being turned on its head. They may have acquired the ABA, and that's fine. Okay, so you got the ABA, good for you. What did you do with it? Don't forget that the NBA Finals were on a tape delay. They were in dire straits. They were preempting those games. They were pre-recording those games and airing them at a later date. That's how bad it was. There were no seats being sold out the way that it is now. People complain and they go, man, all these games, you know, they run all night long. They start at 9 o'clock Eastern time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. I've got to go to bed. I've got kids. I can't stay up and enjoy all the games that I want to without sacrificing sleep and all that. But the NBA doesn't care because they're going to make their money. So what do they give a damn? Back then, they weren't as willing to make that sacrifice. It took Magic and Larry to save the NBA, and then along came Jordan to keep the NBA going again. It took Vince Carter to save the dunk contest. Let's not forget that the dunk contest had gotten so bad that they quit doing it. They brought it back. Had it not been for Vince Carter and the performance that he put on, there probably would be no dunk contest today. And we're back to that square one again, aren't we? People are going, man, the dunk contest is no good. You've got Aaron Gordon believing that he got screwed out of 2 wins. Look, the battle with him and Zach LaVine, I'm 50-50 on. I'll go either one all you want to. That second one, to me, he won. But the point of the matter is that we're back to square one with the NBA dunk contest. And the WNBA has gotten so prolific that let's not forget that during the three-point competition for the All-Star break, they had a women's player come in, and she definitely held her own against Steph Curry. Caitlin Clark just set the all-time scoring record for NCAA basketball. Not women's, NCAA basketball, period. Her and Angel Reese have brought a brand new spotlight to women's basketball. There were people lining up at 4:30 in the morning when they were getting ready to play against Nebraska to see that game. Sold out. The most fans that had ever attended a game in women's Nebraska history were at that game. They are setting records left and right now. 6 of the top 10 all-time scorers in college basketball history are women. Let's stop pretending that women's basketball is not moving into a mainstream medium now. It's not horrible that it took this long to get a sellout crowd. The NBA had that issue themselves. We're spoiled on the NBA the way that it is now. And according to the NBA a couple of years ago or a season ago, they set all these records. They set all these ratings records. They had the highest attendance that they'd ever had. They were selling out all these arenas, even for teams that supposedly were not good. They were doing all these great things, and they had all these ratings, and everything is there, and they're coming up big time now, and they're continuing to grow and all that. You know, so that's what the NBA is putting out. Let's not act like the NBA isn't still acting as if it's still growing. And it's 2024, and how long has the NBA been around? There was a time when nobody knew if basketball was going to exist past the 80s. There was a time when people didn't think it would make it past the mid-80s. It just did not seem like a sustainable brand. It wasn't something people were into. The 80s were dominated by football. The NFL really came into its own in the late 70s. It dominated into the 80s and 90s. Basketball had a resurgence thanks to Magic, Mike, and Larry. Now, those are just cold hard facts. Whether anybody wants to admit to it or not, it's the way that it is. And without any of those guys, we don't have Kobe Bryant keeping the league afloat. Without any of those guys, we don't have Paul Pierce. Without any of those guys, we don't have LeBron James. Without any of those guys, we don't have the Euro invasion. We might not even have an Olympic team. There might not even be college basketball right now. Do you understand that? That is how far the game has come. That is what it has progressed from what it was in the 80s. So let's stop pretending that the game of basketball didn't go through a very similar time that the WNBA has gone through. And this is good for the WNBA. What is going on right now in college basketball? You've got South Carolina women's team who's been undefeated in back-to-back years with two completely different rosters. You've got Caitlin Clark setting scoring records. You've got Angel Reese, who's the double-double queen. I mean, legitimately, when you think about it, what is there not to like? Okay, they can't dunk a good majority of them. So what? You're seeing the pure game of basketball. I was saying it before Cam Newton was. I was saying it before Carmelo was. If you're really watching women's college basketball right now, you are seeing the game that you complain that you are not seeing in the NBA. You are seeing rotation. You are seeing specific play calling. You are seeing actual coaching. You are seeing players get after each other. Everybody complains about Angel Reese's attitude, yet they admire what happened in the 70s and 80s with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Pistons and the Celtics back then and all that. The New York Knicks. Come on, man. Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing and John Starks. Even though Alvin Harper wasn't really a dirty player, because guilty by association. Let's stop acting like the NBA didn't go through this. Let's stop acting like there's not similar contrasted comparisons going on right now. Okay? You may not like it because you have an issue with whatever your own internal battle is. If you don't think it's entertaining, that's okay. There are plenty of us, though, that are getting very intrigued by what is going on. And it's going to be trickle-down economics. I really think that there should be a legitimately casted, real, true, pro women's baseball league. I really do. Softball, whatever you want to call it. Look, it lasted 12 years back in the day. Why can't we try and reboot that thing? Why can't we try to get that thing back going again? It would be entertaining. There's a lot of really good women's college softball players that are out there. There's records that are being broke for attendance and on the field. There is some legitimate competition out there. And it's good for sports overall. Women are great in sports. Ronda Rousey has not had a fight in the UFC since 2017, 2018? She still has 2 of the top 10 all-time pay-per-view buys in UFC history. And the UFC has been around since the mid-90s? I think 94 was their pay-per-view premiere, if I'm not mistaken. So 04, 2014, 2024, and 30 years. The top 10 pay-per-view buys, she has 2 of them. We're creeping up on UFC 300. There has been damn near 300 UFC pay-per-views, and she's responsible for 2 of the top 10 all-time buys. Stop pretending like women don't have a place in sports. I just don't like a woman to act like a man, bro. Really? Because last I checked, Ronda Rousey is very much married. And Ronda Rousey took time away to have a baby. Just because she can box doesn't mean that she doesn't have a feminine side, amigo. I've always thought she was a hottie, if I'm keeping it real with you. Not only can she square up on somebody, but damn, she's beautiful. You ever seen her get dolled up? She very much embraces her femininity. But just because she can box does not make her any less feminine, or whatever the hell your definition of feminine is supposed to be. She's still a woman in sports, and she made the UFC intriguing. Whether anybody likes it or not, you could talk about the way her career ended all you want to, and that's okay, amigo. But she helped build the women's brand of UFC the way that it is right now, and she, at the bare minimum, deserves that respect. So Francis Ngannou, who's getting ready to fight Anthony Joshua, is telling Tyson Fury, hey, look, man, the boxing rules are protecting you. Well, okay. Look, Francis put on a hell of a performance, and I will give it to him because he is more popular now than he has ever been. He's making more money than he's ever made. And I equate it back to what is going on with college athletics right now. These athletes are going out on their own. They're getting their own money. They're getting away from these contracts. They're individual proprietors now. They own their own name. They own their own image. They own their own likeness. They own their own business. They are doing things their way. They're doing what they want to do. They're taking on the fights that they want to take on. Now, do I think that they are at some point taking on a little bit too much? Of course I do. Of course I do. I think at some point it's always this fight needs to get made, that fight needs to get made. Here's the fight that everybody wants to see. Here's the fight that we need to have, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, look, I understand that the old war dogs don't want to give it up. That's okay. As long as you keep winning, who cares? But I don't know that we would see a repeat performance. Let's not forget that Tyson Fury has fought Wilder 3 times. The first one he lost. That's all there is to it. Well, it was ruled a draw, I should say. So there's that. It was ruled a draw. But then he came back and he won the next 2 fights. Look, the point of what I'm saying is this. Tyson Fury has a knack for, okay, you got over on me the first time. You're not going to get over on me in the second time or the third time. And Tyson Fury was knocked the hell out when he fought Wilder. Now, Francis, I will say, really pushed him in a way that we hadn't seen really since Wilder. I don't think that they need to see each other in a cage. It's something that almost happened with Mayweather and McGregor, and then McGregor and Khabib, and that whole thing went down. Khabib saw an opportunity, and he took it. That's all there is to it. And he wasn't going to let Floyd Mayweather take it away from him. And he was going to do whatever was necessary, and that's why he cornered McGregor's guy in that hospital. Or not in the hospital, but in the hotel. That's why he cornered him. That's why he roughed him up. He knew what he was doing. He was drawing Conor out. He wanted that payday. He wanted it more than anything. He wanted that belt. He wanted it more than anything, and he was going to do whatever was necessary to get it done. Now, Francis has already said that he wanted to take on the winner of the Bader fight. Bader got knocked out. Ergo, he wants to fight for that title in what is now the PFL. Well, will be officially within a year. So in the meantime, he's going to be a Bellator champion if he wins that fight. So what's he going to do? Hold up a division? Is he going to defend against Tyson Fury? I respect what Tyson Fury has done in boxing, but you know, here's my thing. What have a lot of these guys ever accomplished outside of their respective sport? I understand it's all combat sports, but there are levels to everything. I mean, you heard McGregor the whole time. I got to get ready for half a fight. I don't have to worry about leg kicks. I don't have to worry about takedowns. I don't have to worry about knees. I don't have to worry about clinching. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. Well, okay, but how did it work out? Got gassed after 3 rounds like Austin Ford and I just talked about a little bit on the show. It's the way that it is. And I don't know that it's going to be any different for anybody to step inside the cage. There's been James Toney, we've seen it. Okay, great. He fought somebody good. Regardless, we know how it turned out. You've got Ryan Garcia claiming that he would be able to step into the cage right now with Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's got a fight tomorrow night. He's going to be defending his belt for the first time. So we'll see how that whole thing pans out, but I don't think Dana White's going to let that fly. I don't think Dana White's going to let anybody step in there that hasn't earned it and go, yeah, sure, I'll give you a championship match because it's going to make us a lot of money. I don't think so. You've already tampered enough with boxing. Why are you going to start tampering with MMA? Now, Bellator, on the other hand, I think would be willing to take the risk. PFL, Bellator, whatever you want to call them now, they're going to be willing to take that risk, I think. They are known for things like that. After all, they gave Clarissa Shields her shot, right? What is she, 2-1 now? They're not against giving anybody their chances. They had a guy in MVP, but he took off for the UFC. So, I think that just becomes too much talk. Too much of this, too much of that. When are we going to see these fights? These guys aren't fighting every couple of months, every day, every week and all that like they used to. We're not seeing the days where these guys would fight, 130 fights in their pro careers anymore. We're not seeing that. The time is limited. And everybody's fighting, 6 months, 8 months, a year out sometimes. Time is limited. You can only do so many fights and have so many fights and train so many ways for this fight or for that fight. I think that we're saturating the market in order to try and make money, and that's fine. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. But there's got to be level of respect to the fighting game, and I just don't want to see it go away. And unfortunately, with all this stuff going on with I'd beat you in this arena and I'd beat you in that arena and this is what's going to happen and boxing rules protected you and, really what he's probably saying is I beat you. If we were in MMA, they would have seen me as winning that fight. Well, you're not in MMA. You're in boxing. And in boxing, the champion generally gets the decision. Not all the time, but a majority of the time. It's just the way that it works. You have to take out the champion. Can't just knock him down. You got to knock him out. You never know what judges are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at damage, power shots, how active you are. I've talked to 101 judges, and I've just really? So-and-so won that fight? Yeah. Why? Power punches, especially in professional boxing, and this is a pay-per-view. Are you kidding me? Okay, but landed a few crucial shots. But other than that, what did they do? You don't ever know what a judge is really looking for, looking at. So you have to plan for the knockout. And in MMA, Francis is just going to get on top and lay on him. I mean, that's all there is to it. He's not going to stand and bang with MMA gloves with Tyson Fury because he's going to be strong enough, more than likely, that he catches you. It's probably going to be game over. But then again, Francis does have a chin. And he's already been a champion at the highest level in the UFC. So, I mean, who the hell really knows? I just think that we're coming to a place. I think maybe this Jake Paul thing still kind of has me a little miffed. I have no idea why in the hell that fight with him and Tyson is going on. It is what it is. There's really nothing that we can do about it, but oh well, right? I mean, oh well. We're all going to watch it. I'm furious about it. I don't like it, but it's literally my job to watch this stuff. I can't, call my boss and be like, man, to hell with that. I'm going to get on here on Monday and talk about how I didn't want to see that fight. It's not the way it works. Although I got a pretty cool boss. If I told him, look, I really don't want to watch that BS, he'd probably be cool with it if I'm keeping it a buck with you. Just like, yeah, go on Monday. Tell people on Friday you're not going to bother to watch that atrocity. Tell them and tell them on Monday again why you didn't bother to watch that atrocity. Pete would probably be behind that if I'm keeping it a buck, but it is what it is. I guess really what I'm saying is I haven't decided. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I know I really don't want to. but it is what it is. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. The show's fired up, and we are live on WBFR Block 50 Radio. I am wherever you're listening to podcasts. Take a device to play Fired Up by Drew Duncan, iTunes, iHeart. Wherever you are listening, I am there. Your local programming is next. Everybody stay safe. Have a great weekend. I know there's some snow and rain going on around the country. Everybody take care of yourselves first and foremost when you're on that road. Please do not text and drive, especially in inclement weather. I promise you, 99% of those texts are just not that important. We all have Bluetooth. If you have to say something, make a phone call. Tell your device to make a phone call. Talk to them through Bluetooth. If you don't have Bluetooth and it's really important, pull over to the side of the road. Guys, your local programming is next. Don't you dare touch that dial.